Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Makeshift Boro Lounge. It's made a return, and for the return, we thought we'd get the big guest, the best one we could possibly get, and that is the manager, Mr. Lee Fowler. How we been keeping, Lee?
Yeah, mate, not too bad. Bit bored, as we talked about. It's difficult, and just trying to support all the players and the staff, and try and keep morale quite high, and our family and friends, and just got to keep trying to battle through it. Really, really tough time.
Yeah, it's been tough for quite a few of us. It's been what's it 8, 9 weeks now. Been really hard, maybe longer, without football on the pitch. It's been difficult for everyone, I think, associated with the club and up and down the football pyramid. It's been difficult without that football on the pitch. What sort of things you've been getting up to while we've not been playing football?
As I said, the first 2 weeks were sort of like a holiday, and probably drank too much, ate too much, sort of living a life as thought I was a king, really. And then reality sits in, and you've got to try and get some structure and routine to it. I've been trying to do the homeschooling, which is give me 50 football players every day of the week, trying to coach them, and trying, instead of doing a school lesson for a 7-year-old, is bonkers. Fair, but you know what? When we're back, I'm probably going to buy her teacher a big bottle of vodka, because how these teachers can control this group of kids is beyond me. Especially the work they're doing as well.
Yeah.
Just like I'll admit it, I can't do some of the stuff she's sending home when she's 7. So it is fair play. They do you know what? They deserve a medal. They deserve a medal. And my lucky I'm good. My kid's really well behaved, but uh, it's not for me, this homeschooling. So other than that, mate, just being sort of supporting players, as I spoke to you off the phone. It's been a lad who's been struggling sort of mentally with it. It's my job as well to make sure the lads are mentally well as well, and keep them activated, keep them sort of, encourage them, because you can't slip into a dull. You can slip into sort of, is it worth me getting out of bed? Is it worth, you just got to keep positive with the players as well. And, that's something that I bring as a manager, is that I really care about the players. I've said to the lads when I first come in, I'm either 100% behind you, or I'm 0% behind you. I can't be 50-50 with you. So when I'm 100% in, I as it is from the club, which I found, it's a real family culture. And that's what I want to bring from, my staff and my players who I'm going to bring in. They have to buy into that culture, what's already there with the football club. If one of us is struggling, we all struggle. It's not a football club is just sort of, well, I'll just do my own role and then that's fine.
Keep myself to myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Ratcliffe, what I found is that it's pretty much a family club in terms of everybody's together. The support I've had from Marcus, Byrne, Kev, and Paul especially has been fantastic. It's really zoned in and made me learn more about the club, what makes it tick, and sort of a lot of boxes crossing between my ethos and the club's ethos. So, and I didn't really know that initially. Now we've grown to talk, and relationships of me and the chairman speak quite daily, and a lot of boxes are being ticked together, which are aligning us in a good way. As I say, which I think it needs to be. I've met some players last week. We've agreed deals with players. There's a few players still under contract. Obviously, we've tried to tie down the kids in the team. So Rain, Cole, Lewis White, Matty's obviously agreed to stay because no one else will want him. Matty Crodders. And I just said, as a club, we need to really sort of, let's get the young kids sorted. Let's get last season we had a lot of older players on contract, which was okay if you want to go down that route. But ideally, you want the young players and add to them, and that's why I've sort of seen the good in Rain. Cole Hall, who struggled initially, it's the first time he's played football in England, other than Tranmere. So he's going to be a big project for me. Him and Lewis White, I expect both good things. In my view, I think they're going to be going to the Football League, in my view. They have certain attributes that very tick a lot of scouts' boxes. The age, they're 6 foot plus, they're physical, they're aggressive, they're tall, they strike with great feet, they're both left-footed as well. So there too, I'm really, really looking forward to sort of developing next year. And as I said, meeting players and getting the gauge from, I was at the club the other week with the chairman and a few of the new signings we've signed and officially, and just getting to know them as people really, and making sure they're a right fit for what we're going to be about.
So, just talking to you in general, you get that feel where you want this club to be your home as well as a home for new fans and everything alike. And I was gonna ask you about how the players been keeping and things like that, because obviously it must have been difficult for yourself, because obviously before all of this happened, you've only been there for what, 2 months possibly,
Yeah.
give or take. So it's still a getting to know period whether you're getting to know me, getting to know the players, getting to know everyone around the club. So obviously this pandemic possibly couldn't have come at a worse time of getting to know everyone and things like that. So how have you found that that sort of thing, getting to know the players from a distance, as it'll have to be now?
It's been, do you know what? It's been quite a mad sort of appointment in such. I had the games were called off because of the weather.
Yeah.
Then the virus hits as well. I did initially come in for the job before the announcement of Daz and the previous regime. Then I had to wait another month before I come in. So it's been stop-start the whole way through. The way I am with the lads, I think initially, the way I manage our talk and how I am with people, as I said to you before, is I'm all in. Yes. So sometimes these players have been used to managers lying to them, or I'm not saying, like, obviously at this club, I'm just talking in football in general.
Yeah.
A lot of managers will lie to players. They will not tell them the truth. They won't be able to relate to them as people rather than football players. And the way I've come in is I try and treat them as people. So initially they're probably thinking, is this a test? He's telling me I can sort of have a go back at the gaffer, but if I do, am I going to get dropped? Am I going to get let go? And it has been good for the lads to see the consistency from me in terms of, I come in, I told them what I was about, then they slowly started to see it. Then obviously the messages I keep coming back through, and when I'm speaking to them, they're seeing some consistency with me, and hopefully, when we come back, it'll be quite powerful in terms of there will be no grey areas at this football club. Everything honest, open, transparency, I think is the only way to be. Obviously not with everything, because the club need to protect themselves in certain aspects, but I'm a firm believer that the players are in it with me. It's not me up here and then the players sort of below me. I think we're all in it together. I know there's a hierarchy, and there is a hierarchy in football, it always has been. So, but I genuinely believe that I need these lads with me to succeed as a group. And as I said, you get to learn people's characters. We done the quiz, which was about 3 weeks ago, and a bit longer than that now, which was fantastic. It showed the characters again. Speaking to the players individually out of the team, privately. Asking how their families are. How's work, and getting to know them on an individual level is also good. And then you just they're making judgments of me even now, and I'm still making judgments of them. But the people I like around me are the ones who are honest, who are honest to the core, and they won't lie. And if there's a something issue, they can speak to me. If things are not going well, football off the field, they can speak to me in the club, and that's what I'm trying to build here, is that open environment.
Do you think that the fact that you've been a player at the very top and all the way down with many clubs, do you think has helped you in this sort of situation, because you can get to know the lads on a one-to-one level as well as a group sort of thing?
Yeah, you ask any footballer, any experienced footballer, what they seek from a manager, and it won't be, I want him to be the best coach in the world. I want him to be the best manager. All they want is honesty. They want honesty and respect. And if you can give a player these two, I genuinely believe they will run through brick walls for you. And it sounds easy. And it sounds, for me, it's just natural. Yeah. Because I don't live in a world where you lie. There's a saying that you're only ever loyal to the truth. And the lads will tell you, good or bad, if they ask me a question, I'm going to tell them the truth. And long term, they will respect it. Short term, they may not initially like it. But if a player comes to me and asks me why I'm not involved, I'm going to tell him why you're not involved. The reason you're not involved is you haven't been good enough, but this is what you need to do better. Most managers will say, I'm giving you a rest. There's big games coming up round the corner. Just loads of nonsense so they don't have to deal with the actual sort of the situation they're in.
Yeah.
And that player walks out that room, his head's gone. He then becomes with his group of mates who start bickering and bitching, and then all of a sudden you've got a club which is horrendous. Like, so, but unless you tell the truth from that initial conversation, that then the player can't go out and moan because you've told him the truth. He may not agree with it initially, but he can respect you because you've told him the truth rather than a lie. And as I said to you before, mate, you ask any experienced player or any player, just anyone, any job, you just want the truth to be told to you. We've got a government at the moment who, I don't get involved in politics and stuff like that, but I don't even watch it because half the stuff I don't believe a word he says. And that's politics. That's just in general life. I'm looking at him thinking, I know he's lying. So whatever he says, I just turn the news off. I don't even watch what he says.
Yeah.
So, and that's what players will do. If you don't tell them the truth, they'll just switch off, and that's when you lose games. They'll lose team spirit. You lose that everything you're trying to build by being a bad person can go in an instant like that.
It's like you say, touched on there. Being truthful and honest can go miles ahead because once everyone's in it together, they'll run through those brick walls. They'll win their games. They'll fight to the 95th, 96th minute and win you those all 3 points. I also wanted to touch on. Obviously, we spoke a little bit about it before. There is only so much running that you can do in this lockdown. So have you set any training regimes out for the players or told them what to do to keep fit, sort of thing?
Do you know what? All I've said to the lads is go and enjoy yourself. Just keep safe and go and enjoy yourself. This was 2 months ago. Now, what I don't want to do is have 20 football players who all look like me and Tomo. Do you know what I mean? Overweight. And so there's got to come a point where the way football is now anyway, and even at step 3s and step 4s, football players don't look after themselves, and they're really fit. We had a fit group last season. I think it was only Harry Winter who was carrying a little bit of excess puppy weight at 30. But he got it in the end as well. And, as I said to Harry, and I'm going off record, going off a little bit tandem, but I said to Harry, I went, if you're on, say for example, £200 a week, that's £800 a month, £8,000 a year. You keep yourself fit for the next 7 years. £8,000 times 7 is what? 70 grand, is it? 77 grand, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. I went, that's the best gym membership in the world. Well, you keep yourself fit and active, you can earn yourself nearly £70,000 just by keeping active. Keep yourself trim and keep playing, earning £200 a week, whatever. That's just an example. He wouldn't be on that much money, Harry, anyway. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. And I say to the lads, is there's got to come a point now where they're going to have to come back in. And as I said to you before, I don't know if it's part of this, where their touches, the first sessions back or the first games back are going to be horrendous. They probably want to run because we've seen.
They'll get a game then.
Hey?
I think I might get a game then.
Probably, yeah. Well, it'll probably even itself out for the first couple of weeks. You know what I mean? But unless they've been touching that ball regularly, and having touches of the ball, and they're not going to be the same players they were when they left. And as I said to you before, I don't know if it's recorded, but we see Matty Crovis' first touch when he set Ricardo Fuller up for their goal. And that was when he was active. So I can only imagine how they're going to be now. It's like me going to play a game now. I haven't touched the ball for years. In my head, I think I'd still have a perfect touch and it'd be brilliant. But in reality, I think I'd be terrible. So.
We'll put. I still think you're better than me. I'll put it that way easily.
We changed. Me and Tomo joined in, didn't we? Towards the end, towards just before the Whitby game, I think it was. And the trialists were like, "Why don't you two sign up?" Well, if you see my knee since that day, I swelled up and my knee's massive. And I was like, I've had my stint. I'm more than happy standing on the touchline and trying to manage this group. But you do miss it, mate. You do miss it. We'll hopefully get a staff game in, maybe against some fans if something to do. And you got me, Tom, you got Colks, yourself. I can't see Robson being any good at football. German, possibly. Marcus, maybe just want to fight everybody. I don't think Kev will play. I don't think he's bothered. Burn, I don't think he's got the legs anymore, does he? Legs.
We'll get some
Margie,
numbers.
maybe. Yeah. I say it's something we could do, though, couldn't we? We could
Yeah,
organise a game against the fans, maybe, if they wanted to do that.
that'd be good. I'd be up for that.
Yeah, of course. Well, we've got duels as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
Forgot about duels. He can just go in goals and lie on the floor, cover all the goal.
He'll be whipping about with all this new lease of life he's got going about.
Yeah.
And he'll be up and down that wing.
At the minute, man, I think I'm heavier than him anyway, so he's trimmer than me at the minute, duels.
So I'm going to touch on what we mentioned it before. Do you think you had any inkling or any talks about when you'll be returning to training or be returning to the pitch or anything like that?
Obviously, the wording, the way it's come through from the FA and from above, is that elite football players can go back to training now. They are starting to re-engage with full contact training as well. But do we fall under the category of elite? Possibly not, especially, as we said, some of our players. But now, it's the wording there is. Obviously, the chairman's bought a thermometer, for the temperature for your hair, for your head.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's got all the PPE stuff and the gloves and the medical stuff. So we're probably in a position where if we wanted to and we were allowed to, we could actually go back in and go into one-to-ones towards the end of June, as long as the government, it goes through with it. Because we're ready, we're being pre-active anyway, because you can't have 3-4 months off of football. We're going to need to get back in.
Yeah.
And even for the lad's mental state, to change something up and get him out playing, I think, I got no doubt the lads who are here, if I said to them, right, you're going to train for an hour with me, one-to-one, social distancing, I think they'd bite your hand off. They'd do it every day just to change that sort of repetitive strain at the minute.
Yeah, it's like we touched on at the top of the show. It's like it's been really difficult for a lot of us because it's broke the routine where we have to stay at home. We're not going to work and we're not doing all these things that we're so used to. But I think a break in the routine would be massive for the players, and I think it'd be good going forward as we try and get back on the pitch, sort of thing.
Yeah, I only seen a schedule for the June the 17th. I think it was Monday 6 p.m, Tuesday 2 games, Wednesday 1 game, Thursday 1 game, and Saturday could be the best weekend ever. I think it's like 12, 2, 4, 6, and then Sunday the same. So it's like 16 games in a week. For me, I love it. I'll watch every single Premier League game when he's back. So I can't wait for that.
I've told my manager at work there's no more overtime now. It's done. It's done now. With the important stuff's returning now, so it's not happening.
Definitely.
I've spoke to a few people about this, and I think it'd be interesting to get your opinion on it. The season's been completely made null and void at our level, and now, as of this week, as you touched on, then that it looks like the Premier League and the Championship are going to return. Do you think that it would have been better if the whole football pyramid it's done from the top down rather than the bottom up, if you get what I mean? So obviously we've been made null and void, and now we've seen the Premier League, because maybe we could have returned in some sort of capacity now.
Firstly, it's run by money.
Yeah.
So the reason the top have stayed in is because of money. Nobody's actually said it, but they're the actual reasons why it's got to continue. I think it's £1 billion if they don't come through. From our point of view, I think the right decision was made. I think us stopping as early as we did protects non-league football with revenue. Obviously, the contracted players we had to pay anyway. But listen, we'd have all loved to finish the season and waited, and but realistically, people were dying and very quickly dying. Added the fact in that these clubs non-league, they live hand to mouth, so 1 extra month of revenue which they haven't got could finish them off. I think it was the correct decision. What I disagree with, or what I found was a bit strange, was the fact that it was like, we made the decision, great. You were seeing South Shields now, which is very bizarre what they're doing. They're asking for a GoFundMe page for all the rest of the non-league teams to fund their case to get promoted. Now, how will anyone else benefit other than them from us paying money into their GoFundMe page to win a case to get them promoted? You know, if they were generally sincere about getting promoted, they're full-time players. So all their money, the furlough, and, you know, if they're that bothered about a club, don't pay anyone for 2 months. And that 50 grand will get paid into their account because their budget's massive. Don't ask any other team for money to them to get promoted. Then I think in terms of I think it happened so quickly in terms of all this pressure for the FA or whoever it was, the FA, whoever it was. You then ask them to make decisions. And I think they made quite a few wrong decisions along the way. You know, the points per game scenario, you can win a league on points per game, but you can't be promoted for the playoffs with points per game. Then you've got, well, hang on, we're not going to relegate, but we're going to promote. So you're praising the people who are at the top, but then you're not punishing the failures on the bottom. So that's another thing which I couldn't get my head around, is that if you are going to promote, you have to relegate for me. Yeah. Which sort of, it saved a few people really, and then it also then brought a few clubs in a position where, well, hang on, Daddy, if I keep my mouth quiet here, I don't need to say anything, I don't need to do anything, I don't need to get involved, because listen, if we open a debate, we might lose our position in the league. Obviously now they turned around and said there is going to be relegation spots done now as well, so that's going to open another sort of can of worms in terms of, well, if you're going to get relegated from League 2 into the conference, that means 2 got to go up from the conference. If you're going to relegate, if you can promote and relegate from League 2, why isn't it from the conference to the National League North? You know, because like obviously Bradford Park Avenue bottom of the league and they're not going to get relegated. Then South Shields will say, well, hang on, it's happening above us. Why is it not happening below? Yeah. But we all know what rules football is money. So,
obviously, it was a difficult decision to make for whoever made that decision at whichever level it was. It was a huge decision. Obviously, you've been with Radcliffe now, as we mentioned before. It's possibly like 2 months, give or take, before all this happened. We spoke about it a bit off topic before, that you thought that things were starting to go in the right direction for yourself. As obviously that is the case. Do you think that now we'll go into next season, giving that fresh start, will be a good thing? Or
I think it needed it. You know, me and Paul speak. The club's been on a negative decline socially, not in terms of, you know, it's been on a great run with Frank and John, and you know everything was hunky dory, and I just think it hit like a massive downward trajectory in terms of losing Frank and John, losing the players, the sort of the Daz and the other fella coming in, then me coming in, and then I just think it needed a break, because what it felt like from me is that, you know, I've let Ollie go, which is the only decision really I've made, but because it was a big decision in terms of letting Ollie go, it feels like everything's sort of pivoting to me, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like, well, you know, it wasn't me who got rid of Frank and John. It wasn't me who made the results. But ultimately, I'm the manager now. So when you take emotions into football, which there are, you know, fans invest, never mind the money, fans invest emotions into football, which is worth more than money. So as a fan, you're probably thinking, what's going on here? We've just been promoted for the playoffs. We've just lost Frank and John, who've been brilliant. We've just lost Metcalf, your Warburtons, your Princes. There is more. Sorry if I've missed them out. The lads who were there, there's quite a few. Then, you know, what happened in the mid-time, and then I'm coming in and I'm at the end of that sort of downward trajectory. And, you know, I didn't have a chance to meet the fans in terms of sitting down, I was speaking now, and, you know, they can see the reasons why, or the vision that I've got, and, you know, which is important that they see me as part of their moving forward. You know, the break possibly has stopped partial negativity. I think it's still there. Yeah. I think it still needs to be addressed, and I think there has been mistakes made internally. You know, the chairman won't sort of say anything about me saying that, because there has been a process which has culminated in a lot of stuff. But now we're on the right path again. Ultimately, I'll be judged on results, which is down to me, which is brilliant because it's all on me. If we win, it's the players. If we lose, it's me. It's not Margie, it's not Tomo, it's not the chairman, it's me. If I lose a game of football, it's down to me, um, because I've brought these players in. And as I said, I'm looking forward to getting back and meeting the fans and having the fans forum with them. Me, Paul, Marcus, and Kevin Burner, we'll be having. We've had conversations about moving the club forward in big ways, which was not far away. Not big ways in terms of like restructuring and stuff, but there's things in the background we're going to try and improve. And as I said to you before, me being not sentimental to the club at the moment, in terms of when I first come in, it's good for me to have an outside view, and trying to help to make it go better. Because I've been at all these clubs, and I've seen clubs start small and grow big. So sometimes being an outsider is actually a positive thing for the football club. But I listen. There's no one more who wants consistency. I don't want you. Last season we used too many players. I want a small club. I want a small, tight unit. I want players who are gonna interact with the fans in the bar. I don't want a us v them sort of situation. I want to try and build what Frank and John had when they were good promoting the season before. Your Warburtons, your Metcalfs, them people who are going to have a pint and they know the fans' names. I don't want players to come in at 1:30 on a Saturday and leave at 5 o'clock on a Saturday. I want them in at 12:30. Go and watch the game in the bar for half hour. Go and sit with John, Paul, Steve, and Tom. Get to know them. Then after the game, if we won, we'll go have a good pint with them. If we haven't won, you can't have a pint with them, but you can still sit with them and talk with them. And that's what I want to create. I want to create that sort of togetherness, which we've got from the chairman down to me, into the players, into the fans. And then win or lose, mate, we'll all be together, and that's what you've got to try and create somehow.
See, it's as you mentioned, it's going to be difficult to get that togetherness and things like that with obviously things that have happened and gone on in the past and things, because there is a lot, like you mentioned, there is a lot of sentimental feeling in football, and everyone's emotionally attached to the game of football and the club you support or wherever that is. But obviously, from just the way you're talking now and the way we spoke in the past and things like that, I think the fans now, this is just my personal opinion, but I think the fans are going to start to see a change, and we're going to go on an upward trajectory sort of thing, because we've been about as honest, transparent and open about everything, from you coming in to people leaving the club, people joining the club and things like that. And I think that's massively important going forward.
Do you know what, as well? I think you're going to get people who don't want to change anyway. So no matter who you brought in or what they done, they don't want change. Most people don't want change in life because you're set in your way. You sort of, I've always gone to the same hairdressers, had the same haircut. Do you know what I mean? Or I've always gone to this club and it's always been this way.
Yeah.
If you change the burger bar from the bottom of the ground to the top of the ground, there'd be somebody who won't want to walk up the hill to go to. Do you know what I mean? That's where we live in as a country, unfortunately. But you're right. The people who I've spoke to, the first, we haven't spoke about money. It's the culture, in terms of every player I've spoke to, the chairman and Marcus and Margie and Dools and Tomo have all been there. And what I've said to them privately is, listen, you judge these players privately and then give me the feedback back after, because it's important I bring in the right type of people for this football club. We ain't the biggest players in the world. There's clubs around us who pay way more money, but I don't want players who come in here for money. I want people to come here for the right reasons, and if we can get 16 to 18 of the right reasons, I've got no doubt the way we finish the season, added to what we've got, them players, the lads are running through brick walls for me at the end. And as you see, we outworked the Nantwich game. We outpassed them and we outworked them, and that's the platform now. That's the minimum bare level. The Whitby game and the Nantwich game, and games were second half as well. I thought we'd give them a very good game. Games were second half. Although we're 3-1 down, but footballing wise, we're the best footballing team on the pitch. So that's how I'm going to get them. They work hard for me in the club. and they can do whatever they want on a football pitch.
Yeah, so as much as it's going to sound like a post-match interview, there's always those last two games and the Gainsborough game as well. There was positives to take, and I think we'll build on them massively going forward. I'm going to move on a little bit as well. Obviously, we've not seen you or the players or any football at Radcliffe since about the end of March-ish sort of time, and a lot has gone on. There's plenty gone on at the club. And obviously, you touched on the likes of Lewis, Cole, Matty, Rain signing up for next season. That's going to be a huge boost because that gives you the chance to build on youth for next season as well as experience.
Yeah, of course. As I said, it's important. You need that the youth aspect to it, because experience can guarantee you not guarantee you, but it can give you more game management. But I generally believe that having the young kids and that youthful zest and the energy and sometimes they do the wrong things, but that comes with experience. But, the first thing I did was try and swap it around from last season. We had a lot of players on contract over 30 and sort of the younger lads not on contract. They were, which was baffling to me a little bit in terms of why. Because ideally, if them kids can grow with the club, you can add 1 or 2 or 3 experience. I'm going to bring in a spine of experienced players, but around that, I want the youth around it, which is going to give you that. Like you seen Rain when he came in, he was like a breath of fresh air. He played in a position he didn't play in. I think it was him and Joe Cummins who had 2 man of the matches. I think in both games, Rain was fantastic, and that's what they give you. They give you that youthful energy, which you can't coach into an older player. The downfalls of a young player is he's naive, makes mistakes. Sometimes don't know his bum from his elbow. But then on a positive, they're free. They haven't been coached as much. They got energy. They're zestful. They're enthusiastic, and it does rub off on other people. So the positives are there for the young kids, and if we can find them, then they'll play for us.
Is it anyone else that you're looking to pick out, sort of thing, or get signed up for next season that you've already at the club or from elsewhere?
Initially, I'm still, we've agreed with Matty, Rain, Lewis, Cole. Who was the other contract we offered to? We've agreed. There was one other contract from the young lads. We've agreed. We've offered terms to H, which I think he was fantastic. I think he bought into me and Tomo towards the end. I think he's a powerhouse in midfield, and if he's fit, he's a powerhouse. Dorse, he'll be there again. We've offered terms to Rick Smith, who has got mistakes in him. But I liked his character. I like how he bounced back from the Gainsborough game where it was his fault for 3 of the goals, and most managers probably would have dropped him for the Saturday's game. But he rang me up. He apologised. I think he knew I was coming in with a video meeting on the Thursday where he was going to get dug out, and luckily for him, the video broke. And it did actually break as well. It broke when it. But sometimes you need to re-see things back just to listen. Put your hands up. He said sorry. There's no digging anyone out. You just need to see it. But Groves, we've re-engaged terms with as well. He's had a few offers from clubs in our league, so I'm trying to hammer their managers so he doesn't go with them. I don't want to lose Groves. He's been part of the furniture, and I generally believe I can get him. I believe I can move Groves into the Football League. We spoke to a few goalkeepers, 5 of them. Obviously to replace Ollie, so we make sure that we need to get that right. We've spoke to centre half, a centre midfielder, a big striker, big experienced, powerful striker. He's had a lot of clubs, 30 years of age, but I think he'll suit this level of football. So he's still under contract. Obviously, we can't say who it is at the minute. I'm always looking. I've spoke to another lad who got released from Stockport the other day, striker. My phone doesn't stop for recruitment, and as it never do. And the good thing is that if something comes better, then and the lads don't perform or they don't act how we want them to act, I'll let them go, because I'm always looking for better. And you have to be better. You have to look for better. And if the players are worried about players coming in, they need to be better. They need to be fitter and stronger. And there's lads who are on non-contracts that at a flick of a switch they can leave a football club. So that's my message to the players. Really, is that don't take nothing for granted. If there is going to be players who are in your position, make sure you try and work hard to make sure that's your shirt and don't lose it. And if you do lose it, then, I don't want to see you sulking around and moaning. And, you've just got to get on with it and fight for your position in the team. Because this season, I want a group of players who are all together, not just a selfish mentality. And they're the players I won't be signing. And the lads who are in it for themselves and not for the team.
I think as you touched on throughout all of this sort of thing in player recruitment terms, it sounds like that you're looking for a personality that suits the club as well as being amazing on the pitch. And I think that will be huge going forward when, as we mentioned, because you've not been here as long as others, that getting the fans behind you, getting them crowds back in, as we touched on before all of this, because at the height of towards the end of promotion and throughout this season consistently, we've been getting close to 500 fans in per game, and maybe that next step will be with the positivity with the players and to the fans, and then we'll just see a growth on all aspects of the football club.
Yeah, 100%. I've recruited on character. The character is more important than the ability. Listen, they can't be terrible. They can't kick a ball from A to B, but they have to be the character. And I know what I'm looking for to that change room. I want a change room where I don't have to be in there. It can look after itself, and the club know what I'm trying to remit is. I know what the club are trying to remit in terms of moving forward long term. And yeah, I think with the potential we've got in the background, it is important to keep growing. I think Marcus and Paul were telling me that initially it was 70 fans there, Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
And now they've gotten between 400 and 500. So there's growth initially, but as that growth stagnated a little bit at the moment, you can engage in schools, which is something we're keen on to do. Going to deliver free sessions into football clubs, which I will do myself. Just purely because then it gives you another audience as well. We've got the kids. I seen towards the end there was kids football teams and they're having birthdays and then coming onto the pitch being ball boys and that, which is great. And there's so much things more we can do as a club to keep growing it. Keep improving the academy side of it. Lots. There's loads to do and loads to continue to do to make things better. And that's the good thing about football. It evolves every day.
Yeah.
And as I said to you before, if you stagnate as a club, as a person, as a manager, as a media man, if you're just happy with what you're doing, you ain't gonna go any further. And every day, every day I push myself. Like, my missus just thinks I might be here watching TV programs, and but I'm watching All or Nothings, the tests, the cricket stuff, the Michael Jordan, any little bit I can get to make myself better to my players, I'm going to do. Coaching's coaching. At the end of the day, if you could be the best coach in the world and you can't empathise with a person, and they're just going to go, well, I ain't doing that. He's a bit of a clown, like. I might put on the worst session in the world, but the lads love me and they give me absolutely everything in that session. From the outside world looking and going, well, that session was rubbish. But as a coach, and you look at that player who's giving you their maximum, like shooting or passing or running, or do us a favour, go and grab us a drink from inside. And do you know what I mean? It's a massive difference, and that's what I'm trying to build at this club. And luckily for me, this, and I don't mind saying it publicly, it's the best, most support I've had from above. Because what people don't realise is it's not just managing players, you have to manage above as well. In terms of my bosses are above me, and it's important that the relationship's good with them as well. And it's not fake either. It's got to be You know, I'm not a people pleaser. If I've got something to say, I'll say it. And the same as what I expect from the board and the chairman to me is, you know, if I step out of line or there's something they're not happy with, and I want them to do the same with me, and that's brilliant. And that's a working relationship, which is really good. And everything I've asked for to improve, to be better, they've never said no. Paul, Marcus, you know, Kev's more quieter, but they've never said no. And for me, that's brilliant. You know, I am going to ask probably one day, and they go, "Do you know what? Nah, you can't do that's too much." But if I don't ask to improve, and they say no, you know what I mean? We've got to. There's got to be that happy medium of keep improving, improving. You know, I'm not asking for millions of pounds, but I'm asking for little things to be better, more disciplined, more structured, more professional. You know, from the food after games to equipment to balls to, you know, tidying up the ground. You know, we've asked the lads, we're going to bring the lads in when we can and paint the ground, which would be great. You know, but that's the type of people I want around me is, listen, the ground needs tidying up. We're going to go in as a group and tidy it up ourselves.
Yeah, it's I think it's important that all those things that you've touched on there, that whether we're pushing boundaries or we're doing normal things that everyone else does, that we keep that working relationship going as we look to skyrocket or progressively go up, however which way it is, whether that's in the leagues or whether that's through fans in the gate or anything like that. I think
The thing
that's
is, mate, progression and success doesn't have to necessarily mean promotion.
yeah.
And that's what you need to realise as well is progression and success. It can be gauged on, like, the way I see it is that, do you know, like, say you're Man United and you're Bournemouth. So sorry, say Man City or Chelsea. Man City at the minute because they're winning everything, or Liverpool. So their success is based on winning the league or winning a trophy. So their success, anything of that is a failure. Their probably manager gets sacked. If you're Bournemouth or Burnley or it's your lower end fodder, do you know what I mean, in the Premier League, their success is to stay in the league and build foundations and build stuff for the infrastructure of the football club that's going to last for years after Sean Dyson and these teams, the managers, have gone. So their success is different to what Liverpool's are. And that's what's good about football is that, you know, ultimately you want to win games of football and get promoted. Of course you do. But also within that as well, there's nothing better than, my God, remember when we done this and we created this and, you know, we had the academy and we had the pathway from the kids coming through and we built this and we built the bar, we built the clubhouse, we built, do you know what I mean? As a chairman looking at it, especially I haven't been yet, but the chairman and Marcus and Kev and Byrne must look at it and going, well, hang on, we didn't have this bar 3 years ago. We didn't have them seats 2 years ago. We didn't have the dugouts and the pullouts sort of when you walk out.
So long
You
on
know, every day, so every year something's getting better. And in 10 years, they can look back and go, do you know what? We've done well there. You know, we've had a few promotions, but ultimately we've built something for the community, which is longer and better than a promotion. You know what I mean? For me anyway, but that's my view on it, mate.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. To be fair, is that I always thought since I've been there, because I've not been there as long as the chairman or
Yeah.
plenty of other people. I've been there for 2 years. You've seen a massive progression off the pitch as well as on it, and you just see that through everything that's gone on in the club. And speaking to the chairman, since I've been there, like he's always wanted to branch out into other things, go and speak to the kids of the local community, get the teams going. Radcliffe Juniors are doing amazing things on just away from the ground and things like that, and then they're bringing that to the first team where they're meeting the players and everything like that. I think that's amazing to see.
Yeah.
The improvement's been substantial. It's been amazing over just a short period of time, and long may it continue, hopefully.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to do, mate. When we're back, we're going to have a meeting with not just, so we'll have a PowerPoint meeting with me and Paul and have everybody in there, the club, who work for the club. So that filters into the academy and the juniors, and you're going to have, like, I you know, we played the academy in a behind the doors game, and they said it's the first time they've ever trained against the first team, and I was thinking, well, there has to be that link between the academy, you know, albeit if some of them may not be, you know, at ready now at the minute to play against Radcliffe's first team, but you know, there was never a link. But then I was shocked when I spoke to Pete. I was like, well, you know, there should be a link between the chairman, myself, and then filter through the whole club. And I think that's something that me and Paul have definitely spoke about in terms of, we are, when we're back and we're safe and we're able to do so, we're going to invite all the junior coaches into a room and say, right, this is me, this is the club ethos, this is Lee's ethos, and ideally we want that to filter through the whole football structure, the pathway.
Yeah.
Because then you're building a sort of, not legacy, that's a ridiculous word. Like, you're building like an ethos or a DNA, which, I'm not saying this Barcelona, or they've got their DNA, Arsenal's got theirs, and let's have an identity to us as well. So every coach knows we're playing a certain way. Let's stick to one formation, and we're all learning. Because then when they come up through the age groups, they're going to play. We need a player. I need a right back. Well, he already knows the position he's playing because the whole club play the same structure.
Yeah.
And we don't want robots. We want them to do their own thing, really, the players. But there's nothing more to say, the under-16s player, he's the under-14 player, he could be ready. Let's move him up 2 years to see if he is. Well, he's playing in a different team. Well, he's playing in the same role. He's playing in the same formation. He's only playing with new players, which he's going to have to get used to. And that's something we are building on in the background, which we'll be delivering to the club as well, which will be good as well. So
I think that's something that you see at the very top. And I think if we're doing this already now, it just shows how much we are ready for the future, and whether that be bringing players through or just having that system and that pathway through to the first team, because I think that's important to have that pathway.
Yeah, you have to, mate. We are, like, as you said with me, I've only ever been around professional environments, and I want to bring that into this club as well. And it's been good, but I think this can be better. Any club can be better. I mean, even you ask Man United, or you ask Barcelona, you ask Real Madrid, they're probably still thinking, "Oh, we can do this better," or "He's better than doing this." And there's certain ways of doing it, mate. But we will. Listen, me and Paul speak to each other every day. Every day, I'm in tomorrow again with him, talking about a few things and moving forward, and configurations about changing rooms and just silly things to make things like more professional. And the food after games, lads having protein shakes before the game, and any small detail I can make better, I will do, and that's what I've got to do as a manager.
Yeah, and I think you've taken it upon yourself, sort of thing, to do that, and that's like a breath of fresh air, really, to see that you right at the forefront, ready to do it all and everything like that. And I think,
yeah, well, you have to, mate. As a manager, you have to lead from the front. So it's like, I was cooking some food the other day for Marcus and Paul and one of the new signings, and I was cleaning up, and they were like, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, if you see me doing it, they'll do it. When we go to the change rooms, I'm the one sweeping at the change rooms, and the players look at you to say, what are you doing, like?" But if you lead from the front, the next time you won't have to do it because the player will along. If the gaffer does it, I'll do it. And that's what I want to create, that sort of, I would never ask anyone to do anything that I wouldn't do myself or haven't done myself.
Yeah.
And if you show them the way and lead the way or want to do the way, the rest should follow you.
And it's only a right thing to lead by in life, sort of thing, as well. And that's something that you learn through football and things like that as well. There's something that I wanted to touch on as well, and we spoke about it a little bit earlier on. Obviously, there's been as many as have been contract signing up who have let Ollie Martin leave the club, sort of thing. He's joined FC United. Obviously, it was quite a shock to a few people online. It's just wanted to give you the chance to talk through that process, sort of thing.
Yeah, so first and foremost, Ollie's done fantastic for his football club. His stats in terms of, well, we won't count his Player of the Month awards, what he's put on social media. But listen, 30 clean sheets was in 90 games.
Yeah.
Great pro. Very good lad. Good goalkeeper. And generally, I generally believe, and I mean this as well, it's not just a people please and stuff like that, because Ollie did have his pitfalls in certain aspects, but in terms of his shot stopping ability, It was. I kind of knew that if somebody was going through with Ollie, I thought it wouldn't end up in the net, and that's the positive I could say about Ollie, really. And he had a bit of a difficult time in terms of the goalkeeping coach leaving, Cogs coming in. Myself and Ollie privately had a conversation about the reasons why. I know it's been publicly outed from his side the reasons why I want to play out from the back and do bits and bobs, have a different style of play. I'll keep my end private as I always will do with player conversations. And I know it was a family member who was protecting him, which is natural. It's a natural thing to do. It was no there was no negativity towards what he'd done. I don't work like that. I don't work. When John and Frank left, I was the first person to praise how much they work they've done. I don't live in that world of negativity. And I wish him all the best. And it'll be interesting to when we play against him. I'm sure he's going to want to keep a clean sheet 100%. Our lads, and we're going to want to beat him. But as I said, he's a good club, mate, FC United. And I wish him all the best. And I mean that, except for against us. So I hope he concedes a lot of goals. But I wish him all the best. And as I said, I know the fans are not going to be happy. It could come back and bite me on the bum. Could do. That's football. I have spoke to 5 other goalkeepers. 2 are in the Premier League, obviously younger. 2 are playing in this league. 1 was on loan from League One club, and another one who sort of we're close to agreeing with. So I will be bringing in a good goalkeeper, and the fans emotionally are going to be attached to Ollie because he was good around the club as well. And he interacted with the fans socially and Facebook and Twitter. And I fully understand it. And, I'm not going to apologise for it. I've got to live and die by my own sword. If the keeper comes in and does well, they'll soon forget Ollie. But as I said, if the keeper comes in as a stinker, I know too well every single week. What are you doing? You haven't got a clue. You shouldn't have got rid of Ollie Martin. And that's how football works. Obviously, I hope it's not the latter. But, I can't control what happens. But as I said, mate, I wish him all the best. He's a good kid. We had a good conversation with each other on the phone. Respectful, politeful. And it'll stick private between me and Ollie.
Yeah, I'll second those thoughts from everyone at the club, sort of things. That we wish him all the best because what you did at your time at the club was outstanding, and we can't thank you enough for it. But that's football, as you mentioned, and so that message I say on that front is hold tight. That it'll be covered in no time. So
as I said, mate, it's all agreed. It's all agreed in principle. He's still under contract till June the 30th. If that fails, we've agreed the second goalkeeper. And to be honest with you, the top 3 goalkeepers we brought in will all be a good standard of replacement. So I'm happy on that front. You know what I mean? I'm not in a worry about that position.
Yeah, exciting times really in the goalkeeping position, hopefully. And then obviously all over the pitch because you touched on a few names. Well, not names. Dropped a few hints for everyone. Hopefully, you'll keep him happy for the next couple of weeks. Is there anything you'd like to say to the fans now? I'll give you the opportunity to have a mini fans forum. Pretend I'm not here, just to let them know. I'll keep safe and hold tight.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon.
Obviously, the normalities are the same, aren't they? Is keep safe, keep healthy. If you're struggling, if you're struggling, keep speaking to people. Reach out to people who you think may struggle. Prime example, I spoke to a player who's playing in a conference the other day. I don't know him. I read his Twitter, and his Twitter was pretty depressed. I spoke to him, reached out to him. He thanked me. He's going through a tough time in his life, and he thanked me for it. So, even if you can see signs in other people, listen, I know it's, we all got to look after ourselves, but if we can help someone else out as well, it's massive important. In terms of the football, hopefully you've seen in the 2 home games that you had a team who'd never stopped, who was physically imposing and strong. They mirrored what I was about in terms of wanting to win. good value for money. The lads we're looking to bring in are certainly going to be a lot more taller and physical, but football players. So don't think we're going to go a long run. We're not. We're going to play out from the back. And just listen. I understand there's negativity in terms of what happened last season. I think as a group, as a board, and a manager, we've talked about it. We've alluded to the fact that it wasn't quite right for a month or two. Certain things that went on. But we've addressed that. We've learned from it, and that's all you can do. And all I say is just back me and the lads, and you will get to know me as you did with Frank and John, and players who've previously gone. I'm not a closed book. I'll be there the first. I'll be the first in, last out. My players will be open, transparency, and honesty. I want you to talk to them about football, about life, whatever it is you need to do. Obviously be mindful if we've just lost that, don't go too hard on them, but give them a little bit, because at the end of the day we've lost the game, and you've spent £9 or £12 and they've ruined your Saturday as they've done mine. So give them a little bit, but not too much. And as I said, if you've got any questions, I'm on Twitter, I'm at games. Whenever you see me, I'm approachable. I'll have a beer with you, and as I say, we'll do a proper fans forum towards the end before we come back. And you can really get your questions in for me and Paul, and mainly Paul, if you want to give him some as well. But as I said, there's no answer will never be answered. But no question will never be answered by me. And I can only give you my honest view on it, which will never be a lie. So hope to see you soon. Hopefully everybody's safe, and we'll touch base soon.
Very, very good. I second those thoughts that obviously we'll hopefully be back on the pitch very soon, sooner rather than later, hopefully. Is there anything else that you want to touch on before we sign off?
No, nothing, mate. Just well done for you for doing you and Dools for doing your challenge, mate. No, it's good. It's good cause, mate. You've done well, the two of you. Obviously, baby's crying now as well. That's good. Nothing much, mate. As I say, just all keep well. And if anyone is struggling, sometimes it's better probably to speak to a stranger than it is speaking to your own family or your close friends. So if there's anyone struggling and they want to speak to me, not a problem. I'm on Twitter, Fatman Fowles, and I can help you as much as I can, being positive. And if not, just keep well and safe.
Okay, guys. So that was the last thoughts from me and Fowles. Hopefully that you're all staying safe and keeping well during this uncertain time. But that is the end of the third episode of the Makeshift Boro Lounge. I hope you enjoyed the return, and let me know who you'd like to see on the next one. And what would you like me to see me do? Maybe make a five-a-side team out of the best Redcliffe players ever play for the club or something like that. Give me a shout, and I'll try and get it done for you. Thanks for watching, and we hope you all enjoyed.